Father Randy since we use the long form of the gospel, if I could do a short homily. He said no. What is the kingdom of heaven like? What is there to see in heaven? Is there a soundtrack to heaven? What kind of music is there? What might we smell in heaven? Is there a particular scent of heaven? A few years ago, in a quiet conversation with my best friend Ben, he asked a series of these kind of questions, and he absolutely leveled me. I didn't know what to say. I tried to recall back to my own religious education as a young kid, different ideas, different terms, different things that could communicate what heaven is like, but no matter what I was thinking or what I said, it didn't satisfy what Ben was asking, either for him or for me. It felt like trying to describe heaven was like having my wheels spin and not going anywhere. At the end of the conversation, it just felt like my words failed me. In the gospel today, Jesus tries to answer the same kind of question that Ben is asking. What is heaven like? He tries to convey this to his disciples. Let's remember first last week. So Matthew 13, the first 13 verses. Last week we got the parable of the sower. The kingdom of heaven is like the sower who sows seed abundantly and generously. This is what the kingdom of heaven is like. Then today we have the following verses in Matthew. This is coming directly from last week to this week. And today, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a field of weeds mixed with wheat. But then it's also likened to a mustard seed, and then to a grain of yeast. And if that's not enough, here's a spoiler for next week. Next week we have the very next section in Matthew where Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like treasure buried in a field. It's like a pearl of great price. It's like a net thrown into the sea which collects fish of every kind. The kingdom of heaven can't be reduced to a tidy definition. It can't be reduced just to words or some idea that we can convey. I think Jesus realizes this, and we see this over these 3 weeks, as he tries again and again to offer, here's what the kingdom of heaven is like. No, it's also like this. No, it's also like this. No matter how we might try to put these pieces together that Christ gives us, I think the lesson is really that the kingdom of heaven is not known by speaking or by writing. It's not known simply by words, but it's known by living. At the end of Matthew chapter 13, Jesus leaves his hometown of Nazareth. He goes out to restore health to the sick, to feed the thousands of hungry with loaves and with fish. And he goes to walk on water to save Simon Peter. This is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is God taking on human flesh to assume all of our errors, all of our weakness on the cross. The kingdom of heaven is like the same Son of Man enduring the passion for our sake and offering all of us salvation. The kingdom of heaven cannot be contained simply in words or in parables or images, but in the life that Jesus models, in the life that he gives us. Part of the reason I found it so difficult to respond to my friend Ben's questions was, at the time, he had come closer to heaven than anyone I had then met. Starting at the age of 16, Ben labored through toxic doses of chemotherapy and intensive surgeries, all the while remaining committed to heaven. Ben went to the brink of heaven again and again and came back. This is why I think for him, heaven was so real, so concrete, so imminent. And so, Ben staked his entire life on this question. His feet were firmly planted on earth by the disease that ultimately claimed his life, but his heart all the while was fixed on heaven. He asked of the world and he asked of God, what is heaven like? In our own lives, if we ask this question, with our own lives, if we ask this question, we invite the infinite into our everyday life. Amidst a worldly mass of appointments, exams, bills, meetings, instead, the mustard seed of our lives can be transformed into a great seed-bearing tree. The weeds among our wheat can be purified, and God will transform the way that we see the world. What we'll find is that heaven is not just a matter of smells or sounds or sights, but heaven is found in the person of Jesus Christ.